The cold expanse of space was filled with tension as the Galactic Council convened in a grand chamber aboard a massive alien warship, suspended in the black void. Powerful alien species from across the galaxy had gathered to discuss the impending threat that Earth posed to their empire. They had watched the human race grow, their technology advancing at an alarming rate. And yet, there was one thing none of them had ever considered: Earth's military might was still just a fraction of what the Galactic Empire had to offer. This fact, however, was about to change. At the head of the council, a towering figure appeared on the screen, a being known throughout the galaxy as Zareth the Eternal. His face, part mechanical and part organic, was framed by a crown of gold and silver metal. His yellow eyes burned with contempt as he looked down at the human fleet, displayed on the council's holographic screens. Zareth's voice boomed throughout the chamber, dark and mocking. "Earth? You think they can stand against us? This insignificant fleet? They send us barely a dozen ships, hardly enough to call an invasion." His tone was dripping with derision. "The humans are ants, pathetic, small, and beneath us. This will be an easy victory." His laughter echoed, as the other council members, representatives of fierce alien species, nodded in agreement. They had no reason to fear Earth's fleet. After all, their forces were formidable: hundreds of warships capable of destroying entire planets, weapons capable of leveling cities, and advanced artificial intelligence that ran their fleets like a well-oiled machine. The very thought of humans challenging their might seemed laughable. On Earth's side, however, the situation was very different. Aboard the command ship USS Thunderstrike, Admiral Jack Harlow watched the live transmission with a calm, unwavering gaze. His broad shoulders were tense, but his face remained calm, betraying no sign of fear or doubt. Jack was a seasoned veteran. He had fought in countless battles, seen the horrors of war, and had led men and women into the heat of battle more times than he cared to remember. But now, Earth faced an enemy far greater than anything they had ever encountered. The Galactic Empire was an entity that no one had ever dared challenge. A fleet of hundreds of warships, commanded by an immortal warlord. The odds were overwhelming. And yet, Jack Harlow wasn't worried. He knew something the Alien Council didn't. As Zareth continued to mock Earth's forces, calling them primitive and hopeless, Jack's thoughts turned to his crew. He knew how much the upcoming battle would mean to them. Some of the younger officers, like Lieutenant Samara, had never seen combat on this scale. For them, this would be their first real test. Others, like Captain Lyle, had fought in the early wars and were hardened by years of experience. But the vast majority of them were just regular soldiers, drawn from the people of Earth, fighting to protect their homes, their families, their future. Jack turned to his tactical officer, Commander Garcia, who stood at his side, his hands moving quickly over the control panels. "Ready the fleet," Jack said quietly. His voice was steady, but his heart raced with anticipation. "Yes, sir," Garcia replied, his face lit by the glow of the holographic screens in front of him. "All ships are ready. We've deployed our secret weapon, just like you ordered." Jack nodded slowly. The fleet had only a handful of ships, less than 24, but they were equipped with something the Alien Empire had never seen before: advanced energy shields that could absorb and redirect enemy fire. A technology that had been kept hidden from the Galactic Council's intelligence network. The technology had been tested only a few times in controlled environments, but Jack was confident it would give them the edge they needed. As the council meeting continued, Zareth's voice rang out again. "There's no reason to delay this fight. Let's finish these humans off. Their resistance is pathetic." He turned to his generals, waving dismissively at the projections of Earth's fleet. "Prepare to annihilate them in a matter of hours. Their tiny ships will be no match for us." The council members agreed in unison, eager to see their forces wipe out the last vestige of resistance. Earth's future seemed doomed. But just as Zareth prepared to give the order to launch the attack, something unexpected happened. Without warning, the human fleet's ships shimmered, then suddenly vanished from view. A collective gasp rose from the alien generals, and the council chamber erupted in confusion. Earth's fleet had disappeared. What is this? Zareth hissed, his yellow eyes narrowing. Where did they go? The holographic screens flickered, showing only empty space where Earth's ships had been moments before. The council had no idea what was happening, and panic spread through the ranks. The human fleet was supposed to be weak, visible, and predictable. How could they vanish so quickly? Had they somehow developed a new cloaking technology? Meanwhile, on the USS Thunderstrike, Admiral Jack stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the now empty space around them. The fleet had activated their cloaking devices, causing them to become invisible to enemy sensors. But this was no ordinary cloaking. Earth's ships weren't just hiding, they were also dividing. One by one, the ship split into thousands of smaller craft, each one equipped with advanced weapons, propulsion systems, and AI-controlled flight. These smaller ships could move faster, evade enemy fire, and strike from multiple angles. The alien fleet had no idea what they were about to face. "Prepare to engage," Jack ordered calmly. His fingers danced across the control panel, sending commands to the fleet. Let's show them what Earth can really do. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the alien leaders had stopped laughing. A deep unease had set in. Zareth clenched his fist, watching as his sensors struggled to lock onto any human ships. There were hundreds, no, thousands, of ships now. What had once been a small, insignificant fleet had transformed into a giant swarm of deadly, highly mobile vessels. The once mighty Galactic Empire, with its towering warships and seemingly unstoppable force, now found itself facing an enemy it could not predict, nor fully understand. The human fleet was unlike anything they had ever encountered. And then, just as the last of the confusion settled in, Admiral Jack's voice came through the comms. His words were simple, yet carried a weight of certainty. It's time to take the fight to you. The vast black void of space seemed deceptively quiet as the first waves of the Galactic Empire's warships surged forward, preparing to crush Earth's meager fleet. The Empire's ships, with their hulking metal frames and devastating weaponry, cut through the stars with unstoppable force. On the bridge of the USS Thunderstrike, Admiral Jack Harlow watched their advance with a calm, unshakable resolve. Earth's fleet may have seemed tiny, but Jack knew they were anything but powerless. Prepare for split formation, Jack ordered, his voice steady and confident. The crew, though nervous, moved with practiced precision. This was the moment they had been training for. The fleet's transformation would soon begin. The first wave of alien ships, led by Zareth the Eternal, had closed the distance. A perfect target for Earth's hidden surprise. With a signal from Jack, the human ships began to break apart. At first, the alien forces didn't understand what they were witnessing. The fleet, once a dozen ships, was suddenly gone. In their place, hundreds, no, thousands, of tiny craft began to scatter in every direction, each moving with fluid precision. The human fleet had turned into a swarm of small, agile drones and fighter ships, each individually cloaked and yet able to communicate in real time with a sophisticated AI network. It was a sight that sent waves of panic rippling through the alien ranks. For the first time in centuries, Zareth the Eternal, the mighty warlord of the Galactic Empire, felt a surge of uncertainty. The Earth fleet had always been seen as insignificant, easily overrun by the Empire's superior technology. But now, that perception was shattered. The once ridiculed fleet had split into thousands of smaller units, each one capable of maneuvering with terrifying speed and precision. It was a strategy the Empire had never expected. The humans were using technology that no one thought they were capable of, advanced cloaking, AI, and swarm tactics all combined into one unstoppable force. On the Thunderstrike, the transformation was being led by the younger members of the crew. Lieutenant Samara, barely in her 20s, had joined the military only a few years ago. She had trained for moments like this, but the reality was far more intense than anything she had imagined. As the human ships divided into smaller formations, Samara couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. She had been terrified when the battle first started. She had expected the Earth fleet to be wiped out in seconds, but now it was clear that Earth's fleet was anything but tiny. "Lieutenant, look," shouted Ensign Richards, pointing at the tactical display. "Our ships, they're everywhere. This isn't just a battle anymore. It's like a swarm of bees." Samara's breath caught in her throat as she saw what Richards was talking about. The cloaked ships, though invisible, were now scattered across the battlefield in perfect formation. Each ship, no matter how small, was working in harmony with the others. The AI network linking them together ensured they remained in constant communication, coordinating attacks, dodging enemy fire, and countering the alien fleet's every move. The humans had gone from being the underdogs to a force to be reckoned with, and the alien forces had no idea how to react. "Focus, Lieutenant," Jack's voice came over the intercom, calm and controlled. "This is our moment. Trust in the fleet." Samara nodded, taking a deep breath. Despite her fear, she couldn't deny the surge of pride that filled her chest. They were doing it. Earth was fighting back, and for the first time, it felt like they had a real chance. As the human ships moved in for their first strike, Zaratha's voice rang out across the comms, filled with fury and disbelief. "What is this? Where did they go? How can their ships move so fast?" His fleet, once so confident in its superiority, was now struggling. The alien warships attempted to lock onto the cloaked human ships, but the sudden speed and unpredictability of the swarm made it nearly impossible. Each small vessel was a moving target, zipping around the larger alien ships with lightning-fast agility, dodging fire and striking back with precision. The Empire's flagship, a massive vessel surrounded by a dozen protective destroyers, was being overwhelmed by the human swarm. It was clear that the humans weren't just running away, they were attacking. Zaratha's fists clenched in anger. "Prepare a counterattack. Deploy everything we have," he shouted, but his voice faltered as his command was met with chaos. From the Thunderstrike, Admiral Jack Harlow watched the battle unfold with a smile. They had planned this for months, preparing their fleet with the highest tech Earth had ever produced. What the alien forces hadn't anticipated was Earth's ability to think outside the box, to adapt and fight with unrelenting resolve. It wasn't about having the biggest fleet, it was about using what they had in the most effective way possible. The smaller human ships, now invisible to alien sensors, struck swiftly and with deadly accuracy. Commander Garcia, the tactical officer, worked furiously at the control panel, coordinating the swarm with the help of the AI. "Strike Formation Delta, engage the alien cruisers," Garcia ordered. Within seconds, a dozen cloaked drones shot forward, bypassing the larger ships and targeting the smaller, more vulnerable command vessels in the rear of the alien fleet. The moment they hit, chaos erupted in the alien ranks. Explosions rippled through the dark expanse as missiles found their marks, piercing the hulls of the alien ships. A particularly lucky strike detonated the engines of a cruiser, sending it spiraling out of control into the enemy's flagship. The shockwave from the explosion sent several smaller alien ships careening off course, disorienting their forces. Samara, still shaking from the initial shock of battle, felt a sense of awe as the action unfolded before her. The alien ships, so sure of their victory just moments before, were now reeling from an assault they had never expected. The humans weren't just fighting, they were winning. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Empire's flagship, Zaratha's face twisted in disbelief as his command ship was hit again. Sparks flew from the control panel in front of him, and his alien officers scrambled to regain control. "What is happening?" he hissed, more to himself than anyone else. "This is not possible. The humans cannot be doing this." The alien fleet tried to regroup, but the sheer unpredictability of the human swarm kept them off balance. Each time they locked onto one ship, another would appear in its place, darting away in a flash of cloaked speed. It was like trying to catch smoke with their bare hands. One of Zaratha's generals, a hulking alien named Dreth, leaned in to whisper something in his ear. "My lord. I think we may have underestimated them. Their swarm is unlike anything we've seen." Zaratha's eyes narrowed. "No matter. We will crush them, as we always have. Their victory will be short-lived." But even as he spoke, doubt lingered in his voice. The human swarm was relentless, and Zarath knew it. For the first time in his long life, he was beginning to feel the pressure of a threat he could not easily defeat. Back on Earth's side, the crew of the Thunderstrike was exhilarated. "We've got them on the ropes, sir," Commander Garcia shouted, his voice filled with excitement. "The aliens are scattered. They don't know how to counter our tactics." Jack stood tall at the helm. "Don't get complacent," he said, his voice steady. "Keep pressing. This is just the beginning." As the swarm of human ships continued to tear through the enemy lines, the alien forces began to fall apart. Zaratha's fleet was no longer a unified force, they were disorganized, overwhelmed, and questioning everything they thought they knew about humanity's capabilities. The underdogs, once dismissed as insignificant, had turned the tables in a way no one had predicted. The fate of the galaxy had just been irrevocably changed. As the battle raged on, the vastness of space seemed to shrink into a chaotic, explosive warzone. The once structured fleet of the Galactic Empire had dissolved into a chaotic mess of warships, their once proud formations now scattered across the heavens, struggling to fend off the relentless swarm of Earth's fighter ships. The humans, despite their smaller numbers, were proving themselves to be more than just a nuisance, they were a deadly force. From the bridge of the USS Thunderstrike, Admiral Jack Harlow watched the unfolding battle with a calm focus, every move, every order flowing seamlessly through him. The fate of Earth rested on his decisions, but he wasn't just overseeing the battle in the traditional way. Jack's mind was linked directly to the fleet's neural network, which was powered by advanced artificial intelligence. His brain was connected to a complex system that allowed him to feel, see, and react to everything happening in real time. This AI network enabled Earth's ships to think, move, and fight as one. Focus on the weak points of their shields. Target the gaps in their armor. Jack's voice echoed through the comm system, each word a command laced with confidence. His mind processed 1,000 calculations per second, analyzing enemy movements, detecting flaws in their tactics, and directing his fleet accordingly. As Jack's orders were executed, the human fleet darted through space with a speed that left the alien ships struggling to keep up. The aliens' technology may have been advanced, but it was their sheer size and firepower that made them vulnerable. The human fleet had been built to exploit weaknesses, and that's exactly what they did. The human fighters, agile and fast, broke apart and attacked in every direction. Small, nimble ships darted in and out of the enemy's massive warships, engaging in vicious dogfights. The USS Thunderstrike and other flagship vessels hung back, providing support with long-range weapons, while the smaller ships launched precise, deadly attacks. Explosions lit up the starry expanse as missiles launched from human fighters tore through alien shields. EMP pulses disabled the alien systems, causing their once mighty ships to falter. "Fire at will!" Lieutenant Samara shouted as she took control of her fighter ship's weapons system. Her hands moved with swift precision, her fingers dancing over the controls as she locked onto the largest alien ship in front of her. With a burst of speed, she surged forward, launching missiles that found their mark in the alien ship's exposed underbelly. The alien ship shuddered, its shields flickering as the missiles slammed into its hull. The humans had learned quickly to avoid the front-facing armor of the larger ships, where their shields were strongest. Instead, they focused on the sides and underbelly, exploiting every weak point. Each explosion was a small victory, and every small victory pushed the humans closer to winning this battle. But the aliens weren't going to back down. Their ships were far superior in raw firepower, and for every human ship that landed a successful strike, the aliens returned with even more force. Energy blasts erupted from their ships, lighting up the darkness like fireworks, chasing the human ships through space. Despite the overwhelming odds, the humans refused to give up. They fought not just for victory but for the survival of their home planet. The Galactic Empire was an enemy unlike any they had ever faced, an unstoppable force, it seemed. But that only fueled the fire inside every soldier, every pilot. Earth's underdog spirit was alive in every ship, in every soldier fighting on the front lines. Admiral Jack Harlow, standing on the bridge of the Thunderstrike, felt the weight of his responsibility pressing down on him. Every decision, every order, had the potential to make or break Earth's chances of survival. But he trusted his crew. He trusted their resolve. "We're holding the line, sir," Commander Garcia reported from his station, his voice filled with both triumph and exhaustion. "We're keeping them at bay. But it's only a matter of time before they adapt. We need to end this now." Jack nodded, his mind racing. There was no time to waste. "I'll give the order for the final push," he said. He knew it was coming down to this, a final, desperate strike to deliver the knockout blow to the Empire's fleet. He just hoped it would be enough. Amidst the chaos, one moment would stand out in the hearts and minds of everyone on the Thunderstrike. As human ships closed in on the alien flagship, Admiral Jack Harlow received an urgent communication. His face went pale as he listened to the transmission. "It's Bonner," Jack said softly, his voice carrying the weight of sorrow. "He's gone." Bonner was a seasoned veteran, a soldier who had been by Jack's side for many years. A mentor to the younger crew members, especially Lieutenant Samara, Bonner had been a constant source of strength and encouragement. He had seen many battles, survived countless skirmishes, and yet, in the most critical moment, he had fallen. Bonner had sacrificed himself to save a fellow ship. A daring attack had been his last, charging headfirst into enemy fire to ensure that a critical human vessel made it through the enemy lines. He had died with honor, but his death left a gaping hole in the hearts of the crew, especially Lieutenant Samara. The young officer, who had admired Bonner for his bravery, stood frozen in shock. Her hands gripped the controls tightly, and her heart pounded in her chest. The thought of losing someone so close to her in the heat of battle was almost too much to bear. Bonner had always been the one to offer words of wisdom, to keep the morale high when things looked bleak. Now, it was up to Samara to carry on his legacy. Tears welled in her eyes, but she wiped them away quickly, knowing that the fight wasn't over. She could almost hear Bonner's voice in her head, telling her to keep going, to never give up. His death would not be in vain. As the battle raged on, Samara's grief turned into determination. Every enemy ship she shot down, every evasive maneuver she made, was for Bonner. She fought not just for Earth but for the men and women who had given their lives to protect it. Jack, too, felt the loss of his friend deeply. Bonner had been his closest ally, and now he was gone. But Jack knew that in this war, there was no room for grief. He had to focus, for the sake of everyone who still depended on him. Earth's survival was at stake. Bonner's sacrifice had given them a chance, and Jack wasn't about to let that chance slip away. "Commander Garcia, ready the fleet for the final push," Jack said, his voice firm. "We end this now." The crew rallied around their fallen comrade, each one more determined than ever. Bonner's death had lit a fire inside them, and it was a fire that would burn bright until the very end. With every passing second, the battle grew more intense. Human ships darted through the alien fleet with deadly precision, taking out one ship after another. The alien warships, though massive and powerful, were slowly being whittled down, their crews overwhelmed by the unrelenting assault. The humans fought not just to win, they fought for the lives of their loved ones, their families, their planet. Earth was their home, and they would do whatever it took to defend it. And then, in the darkest moment of all, when the fate of Earth seemed uncertain, Admiral Jack Harlow made a decisive move. He activated the fleet's most powerful weapon, a final desperate strike that would either annihilate the alien fleet or send them running for the stars. As the humans launched their final assault, they knew this would be their last chance to strike back. The question remained, would it be enough to defeat the Galactic Empire, or would Earth be lost forever? The battle that had begun with so much hope for Earth was now spiraling into a desperate struggle for survival. The alien fleet, having suffered significant losses, was beginning to fight back with fury. Their massive warships, once seen as invincible, were now swarming the humans, unleashing waves of relentless firepower that seemed impossible to dodge. The humans, despite their technological ingenuity and tactical brilliance, were being pushed to the edge. Admiral Jack Harlow, his mind racing as the chaos unfolded, stood at the helm of the USS Thunderstrike, watching the battle from the bridge. Earth's fleet had sustained heavy damage. Many ships were crippled, their hulls scarred by alien lasers, and yet, the humans pressed on. Their will to survive burned brighter than ever. However, the alien fleet's overwhelming firepower threatened to erase any hope of victory. With each passing minute, Earth's fleet shrank in size, and the remaining ships seemed to be fighting against the odds, with the aliens pressing forward like a tidal wave of destruction. The humans had one chance left, and it all rested on a weapon hidden deep within their fleet, a last-ditch effort to disrupt the very core of the alien war machine. "Admiral, the aliens are closing in fast," Commander Garcia reported, his voice strained. "They're overwhelming our defenses. We need to do something, or we'll be finished." Jack clenched his fists, looking at the destruction around him. The alien forces had underestimated Earth's resolve, but now, it was all coming to a head. He glanced at the control panel in front of him and then to his senior officers. The time had come to activate the hidden advantage, the EMP. "Prepare the fleet," Jack ordered, his voice calm but firm. "It's time to turn the tide." With a single command, the Thunderstrike deployed a powerful EMP across the battlefield. The electromagnetic pulse surged through the dark expanse of space, targeting the alien fleet's AI systems. These warships, controlled by the most advanced AI in the galaxy, suddenly flickered and sputtered. Their once perfectly coordinated movements became erratic, and the alien ships began to drift in space, temporarily frozen by the EMP's disruption. The moment of silence that followed was deafening. For just a few precious moments, the alien fleet was helpless. The humans, seizing the opportunity, did not hesitate. Earth's fleet had only moments to strike, and they did so with ruthless precision. Smaller human ships, once considered insignificant, now became the tip of the spear, launching a synchronized strike against the flagship of the alien fleet, the dreaded Zaratha's warship, commanded by the notorious galactic warlord, Zarath the Eternal. The attack was a perfect blend of human ingenuity and technology. As the alien warships staggered in space, their AI-controlled systems disrupted by the EMP, the humans used advanced hacking tech to breach the flagship's defenses. Human ships equipped with the latest in cyber warfare tools infiltrated the alien warship systems, disabling the key security protocols. The humans' hacking software swiftly bypassed the warship's firewalls, allowing them to get close enough for a final, devastating strike. "Lock on to the flagship's weak points," Jack ordered as he observed the fleet's movements. "This is our chance. We take it down now." As the human fleet launched their attack, a barrage of missiles and laser blasts lit up the darkness of space, hitting Zaratha's warship with pinpoint accuracy. The shields that had once been thought impenetrable flickered, then failed entirely. The flagship of the alien fleet, once invulnerable, was now exposed. A massive explosion erupted from the heart of the warship as human artillery pierced its core. The shockwave sent ripples through space, lighting up the battlefield with a brilliant flash of light. The flagship's massive hull cracked open, and the alien vessel seemed to collapse on itself as its systems failed. The battlefield was momentarily quiet, save for the haunting sound of debris floating through space. The Zaratha's warship, the pride of the Galactic Empire, had been destroyed. Its once mighty presence had been obliterated, and the rest of the alien fleet was left reeling. The attack on the Zaratha's warship unfolded in vivid detail. Earth's smaller ships darted across the stars, their movements sharp and deliberate. They launched a coordinated strike, the missiles gliding through the void of space like streaks of light. As they hit the alien flagship, the ship's shields flared brightly, sparking with blue and green energy as they tried to hold the missiles back. But the human ships were too fast, too precise. Then, the moment of impact, the soundless explosion. A burst of energy erupted from the heart of the warship, sending out a shockwave of bright light that illuminated the surrounding darkness. The Zaratha's warship buckled and exploded, chunks of metal and debris flying out in every direction. The once immense ship now seemed like little more than space junk, a symbol of the human fleet's determination and innovation. The battle, once thought to be hopeless, had been turned in an instant. The aliens had underestimated the humans, and now, they were paying the price. As the alien fleet began to panic, the tide of the battle shifted dramatically. Their flagship was gone. Zarath, the eternal warlord, was forced to watch in horror as his prized warship was reduced to rubble. The aliens, once so confident in their superiority, now found themselves questioning their own strength. The same, tiny fleet, they had mocked was now dealing them a devastating blow. The alien commanders scrambled to regain control, but it was too late. The EMP had not only disabled their warships but also shattered their confidence. Their AI-controlled ships, once the pinnacle of alien technology, were vulnerable without the guiding intelligence they relied upon. Desperation set in among the alien forces as their once immovable fleet began to crumble. They fired blindly into space, their movements erratic, unsure of where to focus their firepower. Panic spread through their ranks as they realized that their once great empire was now on the verge of collapse. "They never stood a chance," muttered Commander Garcia over the comms, his voice filled with a mixture of disbelief and triumph. "We're winning. We're actually winning." Jack, standing on the bridge of the Thunderstrike, allowed himself a moment of satisfaction, but only for a moment. The battle was far from over. The destruction of the flagship had dealt a massive blow to the alien forces, but there were still hundreds of enemy ships out there, and they wouldn't give up without a fight. The humans had seized the initiative, and now, they needed to press their advantage. The alien empire's arrogance had been its downfall, and Earth's underdog fleet had proven that even the most advanced alien technologies could be overcome with strategy, determination, and the power of unity. As Earth's fleet rallied, Jack knew the end was near. The final push was upon them. Earth's victory was no longer a dream, it was a reality within their grasp. But as the battle continued to rage, one question remained: would it be enough to secure Earth's future, or would the aliens strike back with a vengeance? The battlefield was a chaotic, desolate wasteland, the debris of war scattered across the vastness of space. Alien warships, once imposing symbols of the Galactic Empire's might, now drifted lifelessly in the void. The Zaratha's warship, the flagship that had led the alien assault, was nothing but a charred shell, its once proud hull torn apart by the coordinated strikes of Earth's fleet. The enemy, broken and demoralized, had been routed. Earth's fleet, though battered, had endured. They had fought back against the odds, using every ounce of ingenuity, strategy, and raw determination they had. What had started as a hopeless mission to defend Earth against the overwhelming force of the Galactic Empire had turned into a full-blown victory. The humans had not only survived but had shattered the alien forces, leaving them in disarray. The final shots of the battle rang out as the last few alien warships were destroyed or forced to retreat. The humans had won, but the cost of that victory was heavy. The crew of the USS Thunderstrike stood in silence, their eyes focused on the viewscreen in front of them, as they watched the last of the enemy ships explode in a burst of light. Admiral Jack Harlow allowed himself a moment of quiet relief. He had led his people to victory, but the price had been steep. Many brave souls had given their lives to secure Earth's future, and the thought of their sacrifice weighed heavily on him. He had always known that leadership meant making difficult decisions, but this battle had brought the true cost of war into sharp focus. The battle may have been won, but the victory came with a deep sense of loss. The crew of the Thunderstrike had fought together like a family, and now they mourned the ones they had lost. Bonner, a seasoned soldier and a close friend to Admiral Jack, had made the ultimate sacrifice. His death had hit the crew hard, especially Lieutenant Samara, who had looked up to him as a mentor. As the crew gathered in the ship's common area to pay their respects, the somber mood was palpable. Jack stood at the front, his face etched with sorrow, but also with pride. The humans had fought with everything they had, and they had won. Their sacrifices had not been in vain. "I know we've lost many," Jack said, his voice steady despite the emotion he felt. "But we must remember them. They gave their lives for something greater than any of us. They gave their lives for humanity. For Earth. We owe them everything." The room fell silent as the crew reflected on the fallen soldiers. Among them was Bonner, whose bravery and selflessness had inspired all who knew him. He had given his life to save others, and his memory would live on in the hearts of those who survived. "Bonner was one of the finest soldiers I've ever known," Lieutenant Samara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He taught me what it means to fight for something bigger than yourself. I will carry his lessons with me every day. And I'll make sure his sacrifice was not in vain." There was a quiet, collective nod from the crew. They had lost friends and comrades, but they had gained something far more valuable, a sense of purpose and unity. They had proven to themselves and to the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. They had fought for Earth, for their families, and for each other, and they had won. With that, the crew members stood and saluted the fallen soldiers, raising their glasses in a silent toast to their bravery. It was a moment of reflection and respect, a chance to honor those who had given everything. The victory over the alien empire represented more than just a military triumph. It was the ultimate symbol of the power of the human spirit. Earth had been the underdog in this battle from the very beginning, its fleet considered weak and insignificant by the alien empires. But humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and unwavering determination had turned the tide. The battle was not just about defeating an enemy, it was about the triumph of good over evil. The Galactic Empire, ruled by an oppressive AI-controlled regime, had sought to dominate and subjugate weaker species. Their cold, calculating methods of control had left entire civilizations in ruin. They had viewed humanity as nothing more than a minor nuisance, an insignificant species destined to be crushed underfoot. But the humans had proven them wrong. The Galactic Empire's reliance on AI had made them arrogant. They had believed that no organic species could ever match their technological supremacy. They had dismissed humanity as a primitive race, unworthy of even a second glance. But the humans had fought back, not with superior firepower, but with creativity, courage, and a relentless will to survive. The victory was a blow to the idea that technology and AI were the ultimate power in the galaxy. It was a victory for organic life, for those who valued freedom and the right to determine their own future. The humans had shown that no matter how advanced or oppressive an enemy might be, there was always hope. There was always a way to fight back. As the remnants of the alien fleet retreated, the galaxy would now know that humanity was not to be taken lightly. Earth had proven itself a force to be reckoned with, and the idea of an AI-driven empire ruling the galaxy was no longer a certainty. The leaders of the Galactic Council, who had once laughed at Earth's supposed weakness, were now trembling in fear. The tables had turned, and they realized that the human race, which they had dismissed as inconsequential, had become a major threat to their empire. The council members, once so sure of their superiority, now had to face the uncomfortable reality: they were no longer the dominant force in the galaxy. In their command center, the council leaders watched in silence as their remaining warships limped away from the battlefield. They were defeated, and for the first time, they understood what it meant to face an enemy that would never give up. Earth had shown them that the human spirit was a force more powerful than any weapon, more enduring than any empire. "What do we do now?" one of the council members asked, his voice shaky. "We have underestimated them for far too long. They are not just a nuisance anymore," another responded. "We need to make peace. Earth has proven they are strong. If we continue to fight, we risk losing everything." The once mighty galactic empire now found itself in a position of weakness. The once confident alien leaders, who had planned to crush humanity, now had no choice but to rethink their approach. They had to negotiate with a species they had once dismissed as insignificant. The tables had been turned, and the humans were in control of the narrative. As the Alien Council leaders trembled, the humans celebrated their victory. Earth had not only survived but had emerged victorious against a galactic power. The human race had proven that no matter how advanced the technology, the spirit of humanity would always prevail. The journey to this victory had been long and costly, but in the end, humanity had triumphed. And with this victory, they had secured their place in the galaxy as a force to be reckoned with. The battle was over, but the war for humanity's future had just begun. The battle for Earth had been fought, and the victory was undeniable. The remnants of the alien fleet limped away into the dark reaches of space, their arrogance shattered, their empire on the brink of collapse. Earth's fleet, though battered and bruised, had emerged victorious, its ships now a symbol of humanity's strength. The warriors of Earth had proven that against all odds, they could stand tall, and their resolve had shaken the foundations of the galaxy. As Earth's fleet made its way back home, the mood aboard each ship was a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and pride. The fight had been grueling, the losses heavy, but the war had been won. The crew members knew that they would never be the same again, not after facing such an unimaginable threat and overcoming it. But what lay ahead was an uncertain future, one that now held boundless possibilities. Admiral Jack Harlow stood on the bridge of the USS Thunderstrike, looking out at the vast expanse of space through the viewscreen. The stars twinkled in the distance, and the galaxy seemed peaceful once more. But Jack knew better. The victory over the Galactic Empire was only the beginning. The galaxy was full of unknowns, new challenges, and allies who would now look to Earth for guidance. Earth had proven itself, and it had earned its place on the galactic stage. A new era was on the horizon. With the alien empire broken, Earth was no longer seen as the underdog. The humans, with their advanced technology and fearless spirit, had made a name for themselves. Their reputation had spread across the stars, and other alien races, once dismissive of humanity, now viewed Earth with respect and caution. The first signs of the new era came quickly. Messages from various galactic factions began to flood Earth's communications network. Alien races, many of whom had kept their distance from humanity, now reached out in hopes of forging alliances. The humans' technological advancements, particularly their cloaking devices and AI systems, were in high demand. These technologies, which had played a pivotal role in Earth's victory, were now coveted by other civilizations. The once dismissed humans, seen as primitive and insignificant by the galactic elite, were now the most sought-after allies in the galaxy. Earth's advanced cloaking technology allowed ships to disappear from radar, making them nearly invisible to enemy forces. The humans' AI systems, which had been key to coordinating the fleet's battle strategy, were seen as a game-changer in galactic warfare. These innovations, combined with Earth's newfound reputation as a fierce and determined race, made humanity a powerful player in the galactic community. For Admiral Jack and his crew, the future was full of promise, but it was also full of responsibility. The victory had brought Earth respect, but it had also brought expectations. The human race now had to navigate the complex web of galactic diplomacy, forging alliances, and defending their place in the galaxy. It would not be easy, but Jack had no doubt that humanity would rise to the occasion. They had already faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. Now, they had to prove that they could thrive in this new world of intergalactic politics. As the Earth fleet made its way back to their home planet, diplomats, ambassadors, and representatives from various alien races began to arrive. The first steps toward formal peace talks and alliances were taken. Earth, once seen as a weak, isolated planet, was now an important center for galactic diplomacy. In the quiet of his office, Admiral Jack sat alone, reflecting on everything that had happened. He thought about the battle, the sacrifices, the lost comrades, and the triumph that had followed. Bonner, his close friend, had given his life in the final moments of the battle. He had been a hero, and Jack would never forget him. But Jack also thought about the future. The war with the Galactic Empire was over, but the world, no, the galaxy, was changing. The humans had proven their worth, and Earth had secured its place as a force to be reckoned with. Jack knew that their journey was just beginning. The human spirit had always been their greatest strength. In the face of overwhelming odds, the humans had refused to back down. They had fought for survival, for their families, for their home. And they had won. Jack looked out the window of his office, watching the stars slowly drift by. Earth's fleet was in the distance, the ships shining like beacons in the cold vastness of space. These ships were no longer symbols of Earth's desperation, they were symbols of humanity's strength, determination, and potential. Earth had earned its place in the galaxy, and the human race had proven that it was capable of far more than anyone had ever imagined. The battle for Earth had shown the galaxy that humanity could be a force of good, not just an insignificant species. It had demonstrated that the human spirit, unbroken, fierce, and full of hope, was something that no amount of technology, no matter how advanced, could ever defeat. The humans had shown that, when pushed to the brink, they could rise up, take on the greatest challenges, and emerge victorious. Admiral Jack knew that the galaxy would never be the same. Earth's victory had inspired other races, and the balance of power had shifted. No longer would humanity be looked down upon. They were respected, feared, and admired. Earth had proven its worth, and Jack had no doubt that humanity would continue to prove itself in the years to come. The final scene unfolds with a breathtaking aerial shot of Earth's starships in space. They are majestic, shining like beacons of hope, their sleek hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. The ships move with purpose, heading toward new horizons, ready to defend their place in the galaxy and explore the unknown. Each ship carries with it the legacy of the victory they had achieved, and the promise of a future full of untapped potential. As the fleet continues to move forward, the camera pans out to show Earth in the distance, a vibrant blue and green marble in the darkness of space. It is a symbol of humanity's home, a home they had fought so hard to protect. The Earth had survived, and now it would thrive, standing tall among the stars. The stars above no longer felt so distant or unreachable. Earth was no longer a forgotten corner of the galaxy. It was a shining example of what the human race could achieve when united, determined, and fearless. The final message was clear: humanity's potential was limitless. The victory over the alien empire had not only secured their survival but had set the stage for an entirely new era, an era of exploration, diplomacy, and boundless possibilities. Earth was no longer the weak species it had once been seen as. It was a new force in the galaxy, one that would shape the future for generations to come. As the starships sailed into the unknown, the human race stood ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy had changed, and humanity had changed with it. The journey had only just begun.